Thank you. By the way, if anybody ever wanted a little bit of Wally's World in their home, Margot signs it Wally paintings. Our guest speaker today, Sergiy Korelov, is Ukrainian, from Ukraine, that is. Moved here 21 years ago to Alaska, where all three of his children were born. So his beautiful daughter, Lysis, right there. Hello. And I thought I'd be clever and ask her if she spoke Ukrainian, but she said she speaks Russian because of her grandparents. Today, Sergiy is going to talk to us about what's happening in Ukraine. And I think it's tremendous that we have someone that has that kind of knowledge to share with us. So on behalf of Rancho Santa Fe Rotary, please welcome Sergiy.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you everybody for giving me opportunity and chance to speak with you and share from my heart. I deliver hundreds and hundreds of public speeches through my life, but this one is most challenging. I will try to refrain from my emotional part of human nature, and I try to deliver more philosophical and thinking through process on this tragedy. The topic of my speech is War in Ukraine, Complex Tragedy. I was born in Soviet Union 1974. I was born on the other side of Iron Fence, and I was taught a lot about United States of America from ideology and political points of view. It was normal for the elementary school, high school, middle school get taught that there is evil out there. In a few weeks I will be 48, and I want to tell you that I don't know any other embassy or any other consulate in the world except the United States where people standing in line day and night, they're trying to apply to share the dream of American people. So I am a patriotic citizen of the United States for the last 16 years. We've been here 21 years. My 3 kids born in Alaska. My older child born in Ukraine. So I totally have 4. Half of my relatives come from Russia. So I have almost 50% of Russian blood in me. Half of my relatives come from Ukrainian side. I have a 50-50. That's why I think I qualify to speak on this subject balance as possible. After going through 23andMe, you know, this ancestry process, I figured out that I'm not only Eastern European, I have all kinds of mix in me. So you and me, we own this together. If you spit in this little tube, you'll figure out that you have Asian roots, you have African roots, you have all kinds of roots in you. So doesn't matter what we believe, if we came from Adam and Eve, or from caveman, or from a bunch of cells created in a little walking fish and being pain or alien theory, it doesn't matter. What's matter that we're humans, that we're equal, that we're here to go through this process of life together. I just need help with a timer because I don't have a timer with me. So I want to break my stress and nervousness with sharing a joke. 3 most influential presidents get together, and obviously you know who is the invited president of China and United States and obviously Russia. And for 3 days they have a convention. They flex in muscles and they're trying to figure out who is the biggest, who is most powerful, who has more natural resources, who control more territory, who has more influence, who is bigger, who is stronger, who is so on and so forth. After 3 days of debates and fights and arguments, and they cannot convince any of them to give up, and everybody's holding their stake. They decided to call neutral party Prime Minister of India, and they asked him, would you be a judge and kind of help us to figure out who is really running the world? Who is really on the top of the food chain and making the calls? And Prime Minister said, excuse me, gentlemen, you're so big, so powerful, so influential. How can I determine who is the biggest among you? But what I can share with you, a little wisdom. The top management of Google run by Indians. Top management of Amazon run by Indians. Top management of Facebook and all other social platforms run by Indians. So you tell me, who run the world? So on this note, I would like to show a video, and then I will come back to finish a few points.
Russianism, the darkest idea of the 21st century, which has become the driving force for the Russian president, the Russian army, and the Russian people. What is Russianism, and how did it emerge? How did the world miss its birth and help it evolve? The word first appeared in 2014. Ukrainians came up with it as an accurate abbreviation for Russian fascism. After Russia's occupation of Crimea, Ukrainians were the first to realize that the whole of Russia is infected with fascism. But the world wasn't ready to believe it. The war Putin started in Europe in 2022 proves that Russianism has totally won in Russia and now is threatening the world. Russianism, in a one-party system without real elections. It means a cult of personality of Putin, who has ruled for more than 20 years. It's the idea that Russian people are somehow divine and so have exclusivity over other nations. It means denial of the right of existence for Ukrainians, and these ideas are propagated in the media and in churches throughout Russia. Russianism is militarization and expansion. Russians support the invasion of Ukraine and threaten the world with nuclear weapons. Russianism is the domination of the crowd and elimination of any importance of minorities. It means mass gatherings around new totalitarian rituals and symbols. How did Russia become like this? Why didn't the free world see Russia's growing fascism over the last decade? Russianism is a revanchist ideology. During the Soviet Union, Russians thought of the USSR as their empire, like in the days of the imperial czars. They felt this disintegration was a huge defeat by their enemies, the West, and it had to be avenged. During the economic decline of the 90s, memories of the imperial past kept Russians proud. Populists explained poverty and lack of achievements as attacks by a conspiracy of superpowers in the West. All this while the West believed Russia was reforming, becoming liberal, and building a market economy. It even forced Ukraine to give its nuclear weapons to Russia under security guarantees that were later ignored. Vladimir Putin came to power under revanchist slogans and started the Second Chechen War. But the West wanted to see him as a young liberal leader of democratic Russia. It didn't see the genocide of the Chechen people by Russia's army, and it ignored the hybrid wars supported by Russia in Moldova and Azerbaijan. The free world thought that doing business with Russia was the best way to prevent a resurgence of its instinctive authoritarianism. They thought that a wealthy society meant a democratic society. But Putin used billions of dollars from oil and gas revenues to strengthen special services, rearm his army, and establish control over the media, and then instigate propagandist mass culture, including co-opting Victory Day, May 9th, Russia's main holiday filled with military parades. That day, celebrating the World War II victory, has been turned into a central uniting idea of Russian society. The popular motto in Russia today is "We can repeat it," meant now as a threat to the West, their perceived enemy. Putin encouraged Russia's dreams of restoring the old Soviet borders, beginning with Ukraine. State propaganda declared that Ukrainians and Belarusians are all part of the Russian people. Those who supported Ukraine's independence and national statehood were named Nazis. And then came the invasion of Crimea in 2014, when Ukraine did not manage to ensure the withdrawal of Russia's Black Sea fleet from its territory. Now, Russian media has been working on forming an image of the external enemy, NATO. The rapprochement of Ukraine and Georgia with the West was perceived as a life-threatening event for Russia. The West was pictured as immoral and weak, unlike spiritual Orthodox Russia. Russians were ecstatic when in 2008 their army invaded Georgia under an invented pretext. Western reaction was predictably sluggish. The Kremlin understood that Russia's light military force and the West would do nothing to impede it. That's why when Russia quickly occupied Crimea in 2014, the level of Putin support broke records. Even liberal Russians and political opponents of the regime supported the occupation. They were ready to forgive everything to return the territories of the empire. One people, one empire, one leader, just like 300 years ago. After February's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, the last dissenters left Russia. The rest of the Russian people are blinded with Russism and can't see it. These Russians support the war against Ukraine while ignoring the contradictory justifications. Russians are told they started war to prevent war. They deny the existence of Ukrainians as a people and think they should be eliminated. Russians think they're liberating Russian-speaking Ukrainians. When they see that Ukrainians are not happy about that, they accuse them of treason. The peak of absurdity is that Russians are convinced they are at war with Nazi fascists led by a Jewish president. And then according to that logic, countries which don't support Russia must also be fascists. Russism is turning into a global threat. The only country besides North Korea making direct nuclear weapons threats to the world is Russia. It seems Russism's fundamental ideology allows for the destruction of our entire planet if the world refuses to live by its rules. The world has been ignoring the threat of Russism for a long time. No longer can it be ignored. Russism is an enemy not only for independent Ukraine, it's an enemy for the whole of mankind and our strive for freedom. The free world will certainly win over Russism this time, but this evil will try to reemerge. Humanity must find a way to prevent Russism from taking root in future generations or face even worse threats in the years to come. Russia and fascism must be stopped now.
I assume that this 6-minute clip answered a lot of questions or raised a lot of questions. I would like you to write your questions down because I will share a few more thoughts and we'll go to Q&A. I definitely prepared a long speech. I will shorten it out because of lack of time and emotional pressure. But I would like us to open conversation and be honest to ourselves. Would we, in a human sense, common sense, normal mind, able to envision that we're gonna live through World War III? And I know it's not a mistake. It's officially World War III. The special operation of invasion of Ukraine is stopped. Russia lost that, but they threaten the entire world with nuclear weapons. I'm not speaking against any nationality. Like I said, I have all cocktail inside of me. I'm a soup of all DNAs of my ancestors, and they come all from all over the part of the world. I studied 2 years in Moscow. I worked in Moscow. I have a lot of relatives in Moscow. Friend of mine who just moved and ran away from Moscow, been there for 10 years. And there's a lot of refugees, not only from Ukraine, but from all other countries of Europe. They flee. Europe is getting struggles right now. Shortage of food, energy crisis, lots of refugees. So this no longer war of unknown country, Ukraine. Give me bread. What's Ukraine? Who cares about Ukraine? Let's feed this little country of Ukraine to this big and giant but stable monster. Right? Wrong. I was born in Crimea, which been taught a lot. I was married in Crimea. My wife and my first daughter born in Crimea, so I'm really talking about my backyard right now. So there's a lot of pressure on independent and sovereign nation of Ukraine just give portion of territory to Russians, let's stop the nuclear war, let's just give them, feed this bear, let them have it, let them have it. So there's a lot of political pressure on the country of Ukraine. But let me put it in perspective. Imagine China or India, they want to have a Coronado. No. Coronado, La Jolla. So Rancho Santa Fe looks really attractive. Beside that, we really want to Silicon Valley. In entire California is $3.4 trillion gross production, fifth economy in the world. We want entire California. Would it be okay with us to say, yes, please, but you're not gonna take Ohio? You're not gonna take Kansas? You're just gonna stop at California? All Ohio is enough? We can't negotiate with terrorists, rapists, and immoral bastards. So bullies of the world, they exist all the time. If we look in the history of any civilization, the empires rise and go down, so on and so forth. There is, I'm not a historian, but I read a lot, you read a lot. We're in a very unique situation. I want us to ask some questions. Whose sides are you on? On whose side? This side or that side? It's multi-layered, it's very complex. I can't just say they bad, this bad. No, it's not about color of the flag. It's color of belief system, ideology, it's a color of spiritual or absence of spiritual awakening in particular group of people. I don't know if you heard it, not just children, but infants was raped in Ukraine. Infants, less than 1 year old. So we're talking about not human interaction, we're talking about really crisis of moral, ideology, sociology, geopolitics, and it's all about what? All about real estate, grabbing more territory, more natural resources, controlling more trade ways. Question, whose side I'm on? I'm on the human side. Who is right, who is wrong? The history will judge, but we have to make a conclusion for ourselves personally. Why should I care? Why it should be important to me here, right now? Who to blame? Who has started this massive massacre and genocide? Who can stop rape of women, men, elderly people, children, and babies? How can we as a global society allow such a monsters to be formed and raised and developed right before our eyes? 20 plus years in power, so-called democratic leadership, equal dictatorship. So there is a lot of questions I have to myself, and I wish we have these questions to answer. Why it's near to me? Because it's touching all of us. We're talking about refugees, we're talking about increasing prices on the gas, we're talking about increasing all kinds of resources all over the world. So, the answer is, if you or me sitting in a spaceship of Virgin Galactics, right? SpaceX or NASA or some other ship, and we cruising around our beautiful, almost perfect globe, we do not see any greed of monopoly sharing the territory. This is red, this is white, this is green. We see blue, green, a little bit of white clouds, a little bit of yellow sand. We see the globe. We see the one home. It's our home. We're all in this together. So my thought, if you can ask how we can end this, I'm nobody to answer that, but I can share how I'm dealing with. For the first 60 days when the war started, we're almost reaching day 100 days of brutal, full-fledged assault. Incredible. My parents are living for 100 days in the Sumy region, place called Akhtirka. From the first hour of invasion, they under bombing. All 100 days. They're strong. They said it's our land. They have a visa to United States. They have a passport to United States. They have a cash on their hands. But they said, this is our land. We're gonna stay here. It's few miles from the border between Russia and Ukraine. And we mix together, we remarried, we have, it's one nation, we're all together. It's like, wow. But it's something happening. Something is stirring. Maybe the answer is in a Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, some other stories. But I think answer is in our individual and collective consciousness and awakening and a spiritual awareness that we can separate one nation better than another nation and find a way to have a dialogue, right? And find a way to build a peace. So, there is multiple ways how we can participate and help Ukrainians at this point, because there's a lot of wars going on around the world, but this is a full World War III affecting energy crisis and food shortage and so on and so forth, political crisis, geopolitical division of the borders and so on. All world order is at stake. It's shaking right now, so we need to find out answers to these questions. Well, there's a little A-frame right there. If you want to stay in touch, there's a QR code you can scan. There's multiple ways how you can connected with me and our organizations through Facebook or Telegram or some other kind of means. Yeah, I want to share it. I will stop and listen to your questions if you have any.
Brad?
Yes, sir.
So the Ukrainian people clearly have a tremendous amount of spirit and fighting will. They've done what the experts said could not be done, and bravo to them. One question I have is with regards to their compulsory military. Has the Ukrainian government instituted a draft program for all men between certain ages, mandating that they join the war effort?
So we have over 750,000 men ready to fight. They don't have equipment. They don't have literally, they're ready to fight. Some people even bribing to be put on the front line and get equipment. You know, I'm talking about body armor, I'm talking about some means to defend themselves. So we're lacking military ammunition. We don't need a draft, people are ready to fight. And it speaks for itself. Please, yeah, I would like to have a challenging questions. Feel free, you can ask me, provoke me, anything. I'm here to be your, you know, guy. Please tell me.
Sergiy, so what's the solution, best case scenario from your perspective for this?
So what's the best solution and outcome? You cannot negotiate with terrorists. We need to show power as a collective West, and this is what's going to happen in Rancho in a few weeks, when the 42 ministers of defense of multiple countries will join forces, 30 from NATO, and there's 12 other countries will be joining. They have to show unified effort, strength as a human race to stop bullies of the world. So bullies, United States come to some nations as a bully too. We have to be honest about that. So I love my country, I'm patriotic, I go to all meetings, it was, you know, red, blue, and white striped flag, and I pledge. But, you know, big presidents, big nations, they always have challenges. But what we need to do, we need to show collective effort to stop bullying, right? No. So this is my answer. Please, Claudia.
You talked about weapons and why has it taken so long for the collective humanity to provide the Ukrainians with the necessary?
Thank you for this question. So obviously, Lend-Lease was signed, and we're so grateful as Ukrainians for American support, which is America, United Kingdom, and Poland. There's three major countries that's kind of stepping up at the highest rank. But there's a lot of political give and take between all of those layers. And I don't want to go into some conspiracy theories, but there is, hidden governing forces which run the world in a sense. But we're gonna win no matter what, because humanity always gonna win, and we're gonna stop this dark, shadowed governments. Yes?
I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but one of the things that I keep thinking over and over is, why is Putin so impermeable? there've gotta be people who don't like what he's doing. We've all seen Mission Impossible and all those
Right.
things. There's gotta be some force or some beings that can take him out.
So this is actually a shorter solution, Tom. This is the shorter solution, and many people speak about this. So the persona of Putin, if you study, if you read about him, right? So he's coming from a very broken family. He's almost orphan. He's kicked out. He's no needed in the family, and he grew up bitter and become that kind of a angry little monster. And we allow him to develop and get the power, and nuclear power, and force around him. So this what's allow him to raise the group of supporters around him, which full of fear. Yeah, so this is the answer. Same with Hitler too. He was not
Just
invincible.
one quick follow-up. So within Russia itself, do they all like him? Do they all believe him? Do they buy his line?
So there is 80-20 rule, and it's very accurately applied for the situation. So people are so fed up for propaganda for 20 years. From the, honestly, if we're all gonna be in test and for 45 minutes we'll listen propaganda, very delicately, professionally done, we're all gonna start falling for it. It doesn't matter who we are, how trained we are. Only strong will and strong minded people can resist. But for 20 years, you have three major channels, which is promote and build and show off the power, and we're special, the West is always want to get us, we have to protect, we have to defend, and this was cultivated, and so this grew into generations, and this is their, it's their pride to be attacked. Yes, they're attacking us, yeah, we want to be, we're special, so they kind of confuse so badly. So 80-20 rules, 20% of people, smart, intelligent, they listen to the internet and other sources, but 80% they really like a sheep follow the shepherd, and they go into distraction. So unfortunately. Any other questions?
Yeah, this war may have to end in compromise. Do you think the average Ukrainian would support letting Russia take Crimea? I mean, it was a Russian territory for 250 years, and Khrushchev married a Ukrainian, and so was transferred to Ukraine in the 50s when it didn't really matter. But they do have a strategic interest with major naval base there and tens of thousands of Russians living there. So wouldn't that be a reasonable compromise to end the war, or would you be against that under any circumstances?
So if you're asking me personally, my opinion doesn't matter. I can speak on behalf of kind of a common knowledge from the sources, raw sources from the ground, from the front lines. So obviously there is a chance to kind of agree on that. But if we go into depth history, the Crimea was occupied by Turkish Empire, by Lithuanian Empire. Crimea was kind of give and taken to many different. If every country is gonna start raising a flag and say this is mine, and we're gonna have another Israel, right? We're gonna have another territorial conflict, and yeah. So I personally believe in the 21st century, the borders was established. Leave people alone. Don't just cross and take, which is not yours. It's not nice. Yes.
History has a tendency to repeat itself.
Correct.
In 1938, we're faced with a similar situation today as we were then, when you had Hitler, on behalf of Germany, moving into Czechoslovakia, Poland, and other countries under the auspices that's really part of the Sudetenland. It's really part of Germany's history. And the world stood by and watched as he did that. Didn't stop there. He continued, and he moved into Russia, and he moved into Western Europe.
Yes.
And it wasn't until the collective world order came together to stop him that we were able to defeat this type of dictator. In my opinion, we're faced with a similar type of scenario today. And I hope that we don't wait as long as we did in 1938 to get on board and to stop it.
I hope so. But answering the question about Crimea, do you know that a conference of held which broke the back of the Hitler army was held in the Crimea in Yalta?
Yes.
Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin, they met together. And you know one of the conspiracy theory is that Rockefeller family had an investment in Crimea. And President Roosevelt, he was part of this investment, and he wanted to see what Crimea is all about. And Crimea is beautiful. It's La Jolla, it's Coronado, it's beautiful. This is why there is a battle for Crimea. We don't want to lose La Jolla, don't we?
No.
Oh, I'm crossing the border, but
If we need more questions.
He'll stay after for some Q&A, won't you, Sergiy? Tremendous. Thank you so much. Cookbook for you. This is food for the soul, and you are a good soul. Patrick?
Yeah.
Let the show begin.
Who is that guy?
Yeah, who's this guy? I'm here to help raise some funds for the disadvantaged